So ages ago, pre-2004, I had seen that the GE Advantium ovens were a thing, specifically the Advantium 120 model. And I figured whenever I get a house, I want one of those because those seem really awesome because they cook them frozen, everything else. I'm happy to tell you, after 20 years, it is awesome. You can cook chickens, pizzas, everything. Just like, for example, you can cook 2 chicken breasts in there on the black tray in 20 minutes, and it's nice and crispy and moist and everything, and it just works. You can cook all sorts of stuff. Pork chops, everything. Plus, it does all the microwaving stuff, so it's an awesome thing. But after 20 years, things get dusty and stuff, as they would do, and if you don't know how to take it off, or you have a combination of maids that are trying to be helpful and take them off a while back, they don't know that you're not supposed to just pull this cover, and if you just pull the cover, little plastic tabs that are supposed to be held in break off. And then this thing sags, and when you open the door, this moves, and luckily there's little plastic tabs that hold it. But I figured since I'm doing all these other fixes, I might as well get around to seeing if I can fix the little plastic tabs or have replacement equivalents. Because of course they don't sell this part anymore because they've changed the model in the last 20 years. So if you take those screws out, meaning these 2 front screws, one there and one there, and then you carefully fold this forward, this part will come off. And I also noticed that this inner grill also has a plastic thing broken off, so I'll have to see if I can fix that too. And since I gave it off, I'll also clean it the rest of the way because it has a slight greasy feel, as things would in the kitchen. Then next, I noticed that this was dusty, which again, 20 years, that's what happens. So this little piece has 2 screws. You take one out here and one out right behind here. And then this piece comes off, and then you can get at stuff and such. So I was able to clean it out a little bit better back in there. But the important bit is I need to now see if I can somehow come up with an equivalent to have these little tabs back on. Of course, that's loud. Why wouldn't that be loud? Because I think these are supposed to go somewhere in here. So let's see if I can figure that out. I don't know whether I only pick challenging projects or I'm just lucky. But this little piece is the nub that broke off of here. So I figured, okay, I'll start by roughing it up with sandpaper, and then I put the little screw back in slightly, and I know it's not going to show up on there, but there's cracks the whole way up through the top, meaning it didn't just break off at the bottom when the people were pushing it, me included, or pulling on it to try and get this off and try and pull the vent thing down. Oh great, it's stuck back in there again. It managed to not only break off the bottom, but split the top in like 3 or 4 places. So my first thought before I knew that was, well, I could just get the epoxy and put in, and since the screw doesn't go down the whole way, I could fill the hole up with epoxy, put epoxy in between the joint, and fill the, halfway up here with epoxy, and hopefully that would hold. Well, that may hold, but this top is also cracked. So now I have to figure out somehow to hold that together. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm not really sure on that, so we'll see what I come up with. Did you know that if you think you have the record button pressed and you didn't, and then you pressed record and set the phone down, it doesn't record what you want? Yep, I had a section describing the resin, and I blew it. But here's a picture. I got this off Amazon. It seemed to work pretty good. I'm impressed with the flashlight. It's a little bit of a pain to get the light to stay on, but it's, doable. So, and it seems to cure nicely. So I like it. I think this is a pretty cool thing. I'll put the details in the description for it. So first I decided to try and fix the sides. So I used the screw to open up the cracks, put the UV resin in, took the screw out, did it. It seemed to work, and it didn't expand, so that way the sides are all held together. And then I put it on the piece and hopefully got it connected. It seemed to work on this piece, so spoiler alert, if you have most of the plastic available, this does pretty good. If you don't, it does not do good. There's not enough. It doesn't hold just by itself enough. But these first two pieces seemed to work fine. Most of the plastic was there. It was just repairing cracks. And then here, this side, a lot of it was broken out and missing. As missing chunks, as you can see some of that stuff. And that did not work as well. So don't use this as a high effort fix. It does not work if it bends and such, as I found out. But then there I used backing with tape and UV'd, and it filled in. It just wasn't strong enough. Something looks different in this picture than the last picture. Turns out this stuff attaches, but it's fairly brittle. So it snapped right off when I tried to push this on. So I'm going to try again and do a thicker layer and give it a little more structural. Like the full backfill didn't work, but it broke right at the crack, so it may just not have bonded right. So anyway, let me try that again. Alright, first part's done. That little screw goes back in and holds nice. That's in there nice and solid. Next, we'll see if I can get this thing back up. Yeah, that side doesn't like being on there. It has to bend too much to fit in, but this one's holding for now, so I think I'm just going to put it up with one, and then we'll go from there. This side worked great. That's the one that had most of the plastic intact. This side, well, packing tape. That holds it up and it doesn't move, and the piece is inside screwed in so that it, if anybody in the future is wondering what the heck it is, that's what the problem was. So, yeah. Packing tape's invisible and it's up on the top side, so I think this worked. Yay for a successful project.